but it says we're live. Oh, there we go. Okay, now we're live. Okay, everybody. Thanks for coming on today. It's Thursday. It's our weekly Q&A with Haggerty Dog Training. I apologize that we're running a few minutes late. We just had some stuff going on, and we're having some computer issues. I don't know about anybody else, but our internet is very slow today, and I'm not sure why. But I just, we had a bunch of questions in this week, and I wanted to just go over them with you. Give you guys some good, fast answers. Sorry about that. Give you guys some good, fast answers to fix your puppy problems. One thing to keep in mind, if you're needing obedience training for your dog or puppy training for your puppy, we have a puppy class coming up the end of this month, January. I believe it's the 26th. The dates will be up live on our website later on today or tomorrow. We have a Zoom basic obedience class, and we have a Zoom advanced obedience class. We're also trying to book into our schedule, and we're slammed right now. Like, we're not taking any more students before February, and our day school is booked until mid-February. But we're going to offer Zoom workshops. So if you're only having a problem with come uncalled, or you're only having a problem with walking on a leash, or you're only having a problem with house training, we're going to offer a half-an-hour workshop via Zoom. This way you can be safe. You don't have to worry about going out and socializing. Everybody will be socially distant, and you can get your dog trained and squared away the way you need it to be. So on to the questions. So one owner had sent in their video, and she said she wants her dog to walk outside, but he hates going outside, and that he's petrified to go outside. And she showed us a video of her walking around her living room with the dog, and the dog was walking just fine. And yes, as she started to move towards the door, he stopped. And then she stopped. And then she went over to him and like pet him on the head. And then she started walking again away from the door. And the same thing happens again. He stopped. She pet him on the head, started walking in the opposite direction. What was in essence happening was she was teaching him he doesn't have to walk where she wants him to walk. There are several ways she can get around that. She said he's afraid to go outside. Lay some treats from the point where he doesn't want to go all the way out that front door. Number one, that's one way to do it. Number two, when he stops, walk to the end of the leash towards the door that he doesn't want to go to and call him to you and encourage him along. So that's another way to do it. The other thing is just encourage him along. Say, come on, come on. You'd be amazed at how quickly dogs will just follow you if you take the lead and say, let's go, and you just keep on walking. The biggest mistake people make is exactly what she did in this video. Every time he stopped, she would stop, and then she'd walk back over to him because she was always a couple of steps ahead of him. But if she would just encourage him along, Brooklyn said, good boy, Brooklyn. If she would just encourage him and have him come, you'd be surprised at how quickly he will go. We had a dog just this morning for our class, for a private lesson, and the mom said, she stops. She doesn't want to go with me. And I said to her, keep walking, and boom, just like that, the dog just started following her. They will follow if you make them follow. So that's one question. Then we had a girl that called in the other day. She had worked with another trainer, and she said, my dog always reacts when we're walking and we see other cars. And I said, well, what does he do? And she said, well, he jumps up. I said, okay. And then what happens? And she said, well, then he sits for the treat, and I give him a treat. Okay. How long have you been giving the dog a treat, having them sit every time they see a car? And she says, well, I just want him to stop jumping up. I've been doing that all along. Well, you just trained him that if he jumps up towards a car, all he has to do is sit because you're then going to give him a treat. So you're rewarding the wrong behavior. And you have to teach that dog that jumping up and pulling towards the car is not what you want. And the answer is not having the dog sit and give it a treat, because the dog learned, oh, there's a car. I jump up, I sit, I get a treat. Like, wow, that's not, it's not a hard pattern to create. And that's exactly what happened. Another caller had called us with another problem. They have a terrier mix, and they just adopted him. And the one trainer they had spoken to had said that they wanted to put the dog in a group class. And they said, we can't get the dog near other dogs. The dog is pulling and lunging and whining and crying. We think he just wants to play, but we can't get him near other dogs. And we're walking him on a harness. Now, those of you that watch regularly have probably heard me say 1,000,001 times, the only thing that 2 dog trainers can agree on is what a third is doing wrong. And I told the owners, I said, while this is, I'm sure he's a very good trainer, I respectfully disagree with this person of putting you into a group class, because he wanted to put them in a group class. And I said, I do not recommend it. I said, I can't give you, no trainer is going to be able to give you the one-on-one attention you need and the handling skills in a group class when you have this 80-pound terrier that's lunging and pulling and whining towards other dogs. You need to learn how to handle him. Once you know how to handle him and you know what you're doing and you're not holding on to him and restraining him, then we can teach him commands. And we're going to teach him more control, but we have to train you first. And if you're worried about him listening to the teacher and worried about the other dogs, you can't concentrate. Your mind cannot be in 3 places, and you're not going to learn as well. So we strongly recommend you start with private lessons. And that is a very common, in my opinion, misconception. That, oh, I have a dog that's not good with other dogs. I'm just going to bring him to the dog park. Or I'm going to put him in group classes. You're not going to get the control you need. First of all, in group classes, although they're wonderful and they meet people's budgets, they don't help you you don't get the one-on-one attention you really need most of the time, but most people need in a group class that you do in a private lesson. The private lesson, 80% of our job is training the owner, the handler. Because if you don't know how to handle your dog, you can't get the dog trained. The dog's the easy part. Give me the dog. I'll get the dog trained in no time at all. I have to train you, the owner. So just keep that in mind. If you have a dog that's not good with their dogs, the answer is not putting them into a group. You need to be trained first, especially when you don't know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, and with all due respect, most dog owners don't know how to handle their dog properly or effectively and just create more and more bad habits. Go for those private lessons. It's much more effective, and you're going to have much faster results. Let's see. Don't think we have any more questions. Oh, we did have another one that was very similar to the other dog I talked to you all about. When our dog sees other dogs, she will start to bark aggressively before eventually whining and whimpering when she realizes she won't be getting close to them. Using treats to distract her helps a little bit, but she will usually get back to barking and tugging to get closer. It's more difficult at night when she will usually bark at anyone and anything she sees. What can we do about this? Well, I need to know more about this dog. Exactly how are they using the treats? It's a Lab Greyhound Shar-Pei mix. And, is she really aggressive towards other dogs? Oh, and it also says to a certain extent, small children and strangers. She was picked up as a stray down south. A greyhound, it's a Lab Greyhound Shar-Pei mix. Now, greyhounds love to chase little animals. That's what they were bred to do. We need to know more, but she may not be truly aggressive. It may be that she just gets aroused around other dogs. So I'd have to see that to really tell you for sure. And be very careful with the treats, though, because you don't want to use the treats the wrong time. If you're using the treats when she's getting excited, she's going to think she's being rewarded for that excitement. And you really don't want to go down that road because you're going to set a pattern, which is very difficult to correct. And the longer you do it, the more difficult it becomes. And one other question. What kind of methods and techniques do you use at Haggerty Dog Training? That's a question we don't get that often, believe it or not. We specialize in results. That's really the bottom line. And we don't limit our toolbox. We're gonna use whatever's gonna work best for you and your dog. Are we all positives? Absolutely not. Because people come to us with behavioral problems. We need to correct problems. We can't ignore problems. And when you're not willing to use corrections or anything negative with the dog, whether it's a spray bottle or the word no, the dog is never learning what they can't do. And you're just waiting for that behavior to be extinguished by ignoring it. And it doesn't get you don't get there. Maybe when the dog's 10, you'll get there, but the dog doesn't really learn anything. And it's really not fair to the dog because the dog doesn't understand what you don't want. So we teach them, and it's a lot more efficient. It's fair to the dog. the message is very clear. So I think those are all of our questions for this week. Check out our Facebook page. Check out our website, haggertydog.com, so you can see all of the classes that are coming up, the Zoom classes and the in-person classes. And we will see you guys next Thursday at 1:30. Thanks so much and have a great day. Stay safe, everybody.